Ha, this is Calvin's assistant, Badger Michaels, and I've never played or seen any Danganronpa game, and honestly, I don't want to. But Calvin thought it would be really fun for me to predict the killer of Chapter 5. So here are my educated guesses for who the killer in Chapter 5 is. Kaito, Kokichi, Maki. Maki? It's Maki. Stephen Baldwin, Rusty, with help from the big guy. Ryuji from Persona 5. Ryuji from Persona 5 Strikers. Ryuji from Persona Q2. Ryuji from Persona 5 Tactica. Bill Gates. Gates Bill. Kiryu from Yakuza Kiwami 2 specifically. Byleth, the girl version. Vaughn from Final Fantasy 12. Alyssa from Trails of Cold Steel. Nozomi from Shenmue. Traco. Xiaoyu. And Panda. Panda helped. Zuko. The Homunculus. Cora Jade. Midna. Jade. Pokemon Mouse Yellow Guy. And wait a second. I've just been handed a spoiler for who the killer is. Okay? Let me just open this up now. This is okay. It was Leon. Welcome to the Romer After Show. This is a show where I talk about the current Let's Play in more depth and then answer Patron questions right after it. And playing Danganronpa has taught me that you should never expect anything normal to happen ever. That everything should be expected at all times, no matter how strange they are. So tell me this, why am I still stunned by the happenings of this chapter? It's probably because this is a big reveal chapter. The mastermind, the outside world, a lot of questions answered, but so many questions open up also, and it wouldn't be Danganronpa without a few questions. This whole chapter is an uneasy feeling from the start. We can't find Kokichi anywhere after what he did to Gonta, and not being able to find Kokichi is much worse than him being here trying to rile people up, because at least we know where he is when he's trying to be a little crazy baby. Smoothie finds the final message on the rock outside that Gonta was relaying to us, and it reads, "The world is mine, Kokichi Oma." There you have it. That message has been in the background since the beginning. It's one of those tiny things that they built up since the start, and now it's fulfilled. Kokichi really has etched his way into the minds of all of us, including myself, as being the antagonist of the story, without even having to do much on the surface as Nagita was doing, or as Monokuma was doing as well. His general vibe is a vibe that doesn't vibe with other people's vibes. He's a killer baby who tends to not get along with the nicest of people. He won't get along with people who are always saying, "Hey guys, let's do this." You can guess who that is. I have made it no secret that I love Kokichi, and it's more than just him being a funny little baby. He's a great character with so much depth. He means a lot to me, like he is probably my favorite Danganronpa character ever. His exuberance mixed with his ability to always keep the story going in his own way means so much to me as well. Every time he's on screen, it made me happy because I knew something was going to happen, and something in Danganronpa means everything, even the tiniest things. We are coming to the end of my Danganronpa journey, and it's sad to say that, and I've been holding back a lot of tears and sadness to even talk about this, but we're gonna have to talk about it eventually. In terms of the mainline franchise, we're coming to the end of a journey that has been so amazing to me, and V3 is one incredible way to top it off. But because I'm coming to the end of my journey, I've grown to appreciate characters who are just crazy and are really off the wall. I don't know if I would have loved a character like Kokichi 3 years ago. Kaito is ignoring us now because we didn't believe in him in the previous trial, and that's super hurtful to him. It's super hurtful to me too. I was pretty mad at first until people rightly pointed out that he's probably just embarrassed. He calls Shuichi his sidekick so publicly in front of people, and Shuichi and him had a big disagreement. It kind of just makes him feel bad. Kaito's the type of guy who's super motivational, who wants to help people, but he's also someone who wants no help for himself. He's the definition of, "I got this, don't worry." So now he was someone who is sick, who wasn't the one to motivate Shuichi, the one who was on the outside of the trial outcome directly against Shuichi. Of course it's a little embarrassing, and human emotions are okay, so I'm not going to be judging that boy any more than I already did. Maybe later on we might judge him a little bit in the trial, but that's, again, you know, misunderstandings. I really feel like human emotions do come into play a lot in Danganronpa, and I'm not gonna blame Kaito for feeling that way. Kaito has this plan to revolt against Monokuma to escape, and everyone is on board. Even Himiko has gotten to the point where she is super motivated to do this, and talk about a big journey for her. I'm so happy for this little one. It makes me so happy. The plan to revolt is helped, quote unquote, helped by Kokichi, who returns. Kind of returns like Pennywise the Clown would return in the original kind of like TV series of It. It's like you expect him to be there, but every time he shows up, it's no less terrifying. He gives the crew some electro hammers, electro bombs as a way to fight back against Monokuma, which can also be used to destroy electronics and electromagnetic waves, I think. If that's the way you put it. And that will come into play in this whole trial. It's a big deal of taking down like electronics and force fields and hydraulic presses, everything. It's so important in this trial. The whole crew is ready, and speaking of the crew, it's an unexpected crew to be remaining in the last final few characters. The cast is almost perfect for this theme of the story though. We're left with Kibo, Smoothie, Kaito, Maki, Shuichi, and Kokichi. And besides Kokichi and Shuichi, I did not expect any of these characters to be here at all at the start. And they have seen all of these larger-than-life characters before them be destroyed right in front of them, and now are forced to no longer be helped by others. They can no longer be in the background. They have to be the main characters. They're no longer Miu's experiment, not Tenko and Aji's best friend, not the quiet girl that we saw with demon eyes. Not Smoothie. Yeah, I guess they're not Smoothie. The plan progresses to going underground and trying out that gauntlet again, which the whole crew does with Kokichi's hammers, which leads to a door outside. Once opened, this door to the outside world was not what they thought it was going to be. This place that they are in, this world that they are in, this bubble, this cage, they're in space, man. We are in space, and all of a sudden, it all feels like it was coming towards this. It's all built up to this. I love that it adds new context to Smoothie saying, "The stars look so different out here." And it's like, yeah, they're artificial. We have a note about Project Gopher earlier that we found, which was a plan to send some gifted kids into space to repopulate the world as the planet Earth was destroyed by asteroids. It's a lot cooler than I'm making out to be. It's a mass reveal, and the one revealing it, it's Kokichi. Of course it's Kokichi, and it's freaking awesome that he's revealing this at this moment. Kokichi is the mastermind. That's what he says from his own mouth, whether it's true or not. And everyone else is a subject of Project Gopher, sent to space to repopulate the human race. They really wanted Miu to have a chance to have a child with Kokichi. Project Gopher, that's just messed up. That is gonna mess up the human race. I love both of them, that would mess up the human race. It's also mind-blowing to find out from my audience that this was supposed to be a reboot. Why is this so funny to me? This is a reboot. Or supposed to be a reboot at least. It was supposed to have a female lead. Or at least, yeah, it was supposed to. This game just was directed by Kokichi. It had to have been. It's so funny to me because as a person who plays this game now without seeing the promotional material, it was just like, of course it's a sequel. I thought it was a sequel for the entire game. But I guess I'm wrong. But it's very funny that I am wrong because I didn't know about this at all. I thought it was just a sequel from the start. Everyone seems to lose hope, and Kaito attacks Kokichi, leading him to be kidnapped by an exocell that's being controlled by Kokichi. This is all so insane. So much is happening at once, and I really can't handle it. I understand some people have an issue with this being marketed as a reboot, and it turns out it's a sequel. And honestly, to be honest, my whole thing is, as I said before, it doesn't bother me too much. Like I said, they mentioned Junko again in this game. Junko Enoshima. She's mentioned once again for the 4th time in a row and across 4 games. She's scary. Of course, she's a very scary queen, but she's my queen nevertheless. She's not too scary to me though, because I bet she would like me. But again, Junko being mentioned, I'm just like, okay, like, it's a sequel, of course she's being mentioned. But still, it's so chilling every time her name is mentioned because she's so effective. So effective as a villain in Danganronpa. After all of this depressing stuff happens, Shuichi sleeps for 2 days, which is such a well-written response to trauma and anxiety. I can remember my worst days, my saddest days, my worst months, the worst days I've ever had and the worst weeks I've ever had. The response I always had to it sometimes, or most of the time, was staying in bed so the rest of the world could not hurt me. Danganronpa has so many great moments where characters do feel so real, and it kind of bothers me that people think they don't. Maki is not taking everything lying down, however. There's another plan, and this plan is to rescue Kaito, to break him out and stop Kokichi in the process, and everyone is on board again, driving home that the remaining cast has changed so much. They are no longer the side characters, they are the main characters, and it makes me very, very happy to see this. By the way, Kokichi, our boy Kokichi, our baby, spoiler, he's not the mastermind. We find this out later. He lies just to keep this killing game from going on for too long. And there's a lot more on that later. It's actually one of my favorite moments in the entire game, this change that happens in Kokichi's reveal. Before things get crazy though, I'm glad that Shuichi and Kaito made up. And all it took was two bros being face to face in a dire situation. These guys are best buds. And best buds just need to look at each other and realize that someone has been very silly in this situation. It was lovely. It's so lovely. Until we break into the hangar, where Kaito is being kidnapped. He's being held. And we find blood everywhere, with Kaito's arm sleeve hanging out the side. And Jesus, this is a horrible moment. It's horrible. There's such a small group left, and to have this happen means everyone is potentially a suspect, and it's also much easier for people to move around without being caught. At one stage, we can't even find Maki during the investigation because they're trying to drive home that this place is so big and there's only a few of us left. You might not even run into someone on a specific day, and some days we wouldn't run into Kokichi at all. And today it's Maki. The horror of potentially losing Kaito, or Kokichi in general, was not fun at all for me. I love them both. They're both very important to me. So the lack of them going into the final chapter... Could you imagine if that happened? Imagine. I love this build-up to this whole trial, but at the same time, it's a very anxiety-inducing thing that feels very disgusting and raw. There's no protection because there's no big crowd of people to talk to, no Gonta to say something funny, no Angie praising Atoa, no Tenko flipping me over, no Kaede to hold my hand. The people remaining are all in the exact same boat as you as a person. There is this anxious feeling. Obviously, I'm not going through a killing game, but at the same time, I think that there's parallels to what they're making you try to feel in this game to what the characters are actually feeling. I know I'm not in a killing game, at least not yet. Who knows? Mr. Beast, call me up. I put 10 people in a killing game. Call me up, Mr. Beast. Actually, don't. I will die first. Trial 5 is wild. The actual trial. We don't know who is dead anymore. It could be Kaito or it could be Kokichi. And this is hanging over our head for the entire trial. With this Exil also standing over us with this voice changer that could be Kaito or Kokichi as well. It's overwhelming to the point that it makes my mind do that Simpsons meme with the clapping monkey in Homer's head. I'm overwhelmed. Kokichi, Kaito, how about just tell me maybe? Tell me, or I will create a fan fiction where Kokichi and Junko beat up Togami for 200 pages, and then I will commission art of it, and everyone will love it, and everyone will praise me. I do want to make it clear that I joke a lot of times in these videos, but this trial was actually painful. My heart has still not recovered, because that exile that was hanging over us was not Kokichi at all. It was Kaito. Kaito made a deal with Kokichi that he would kill Kokichi, and in return, he would read through his script inside the exile and attempt to make Monokuma make a wrong attempt at guessing who the killer is. Kaito did this for Maki because Maki shot Kokichi with a poison arrow, and then Kaito tried to save Kokichi, getting shot in the process too, and by standing in front of him. Now, because the arrow was poisoned, eventually Kaito will die. So Maki would be seen as the blackened in a killing game that they didn't even want to continue. And honestly, this is a mess. Maki would literally be the blackened if Kaito died now, or if Kokichi died, she would be the blackened. Kaito would do anything to stop this. He would not let Maki go down, and that's just who he is. He is in love with that girl. Truly, he's in love. He would even go along with Kokichi's plan for her. Kokichi created this plan for murder. For this murder. This plan was so good that even Monokuma had no idea who the actual killer was, and who was dead. This is huge. It has never happened before, and I don't think it would happen ever again. Kokichi dies here. He's the one who was in the hydraulic press getting squashed. By the way, I didn't mention it before because I don't mention everything. There was a hydraulic press. Someone got crushed. It's crazy. He dies in the most honorable way the essence of a lie can even die. He expresses that he is sick of this trial and this whole game. It's no fun because he's been forced into it. And I think this is the most genuine moment we've had with Kokichi, which then calls into question other moments where they're genuine, where they're not, and I think we can talk about that till the cows come home. This is a genuine moment of a child who's just tired of all this killing. It fits him so well. He loves to play when it's his game. But this is not his game. All along, I thought he wanted to play this game for fun, but instead, he wanted to play it so it would end quicker. He wanted it to be over as soon as possible. You can tell how tired he is. It's hard for me not to love this baby. He pretended to be the mastermind so people could feel all mysteries were answered and just stop the killing game. And that's why he was so upset. And this makes me want to cry because he just wanted it to end. And Maki, our poor Maki, comes along and starts it again by accident. It's a really genuine moment that still gets to me, seeing Kokichi cry like that. Because, believe it or not, even if you don't like him, he doesn't deserve it. He doesn't. And of course, Kaito and Kokichi are at odds for the whole game. They fought for the whole game. They're nearly killed each other. They've insulted each other, hit each other, and even used robots to kidnap each other. But here they have dovetailed to each other, joined together and died at the same time. It's really poetic. It was Kokichi's lies and Kaito's honor, the thing that has been driving this whole game. They're defining traits that led to the both of them dying, but also what led to Maki being saved. It's beautiful to me, even if it makes me sad. It's very beautiful. And of course, Maki professes her love for Kaito on his way out, which I knew was love. I always knew it was. I felt like a third wheel through this whole game. But honestly, I was glad to be a third wheel here. I shipped them very hard. But seeing Maki cry is not easy. We all have that one person in our life who never cries, and when they do, it just hurts to see it, and this is it. Kaito dies here, and Kaito dies in a very Kaito fashion, on his own terms, ruining the final execution in the process. It's all he can even do now, although he's already done so much for everyone. Overjoyed, by the way, that someone was able to stick it to Monokuma. Kokichi and Kaito really stuck it to Monokuma this trial. I don't like Monokuma, and any characters being able to stop him like that means the absolute world. It means the absolute world to me. These two deaths are so important to me and the overall story. We've lost two of the biggest motivators for these characters to move. Kokichi forced people to run while Kaito encouraged people to stand strong against oncoming traffic. Both made the characters in the game feel something, and there is this worry with them being gone, and there still is that worry that the characters would become static. But I'm so much happy to know that their memories live on, even if Kokichi is not as remembered as much. It lives on in this beautiful sweet moment that I adore, where everyone is working out together. Himiko, Smoothie, Maki, and Shuichi all together in honor of Kaito. It is one of those moments that defines the best in Danganronpa. From the outside it seems cold and horrific, and sometimes ghoulishly horrible, but once you're inside you see these heart-filled moments that are earned and mean so much. Chapter 5 shows why Danganronpa storytelling is so unique. Having characters that are not supposed to get along. Finding gold amongst the dirt in characters' hearts. Being forced to understand that the most of evil characters can have good in them. You grow to see a darker side of the brightest souls and confirm the love and the sweetest of characters. And it's all seen in Chapter 5. We see it in Kaito's inspiration, Shuichi overcoming his own self-doubt, Maki coming out of her shell, Kokichi finally showing some truth in his lies, Himiko shouting out more often, Kibo taking the reins so many times during this trial. This is the trial that really defines what Danganronpa is. It defines what this whole franchise is. This whole chapter is over with the two biggest cliffhangers in the world, by the way. Junko Enoshima is back, my queen, my girl, and I have no idea how, but she is back. My body involuntarily jumped for joy and did a little jig. This is huge. For me, as someone who actually loves the implementation of Junko and thinks she actually is a really well-written, great villain, and how she's inspired the villainry in all these games really is well-written, is so excited. Calvin is so excited for this. And also, Kibo is blowing up the school. Yeah. A lot of people really love my rankings. Forgive me for not doing a ranking this time around. We'll do a ranking next time, I think. For now, I just want to say that, like, if you're talking about who my favorite of these characters is, I've kind of given it away already. It's clear to see that Kokichi is my favorite character in Danganronpa. So Kokichi, there you go. He's at number 1 if that's what you want to know. We'll do more rankings later on. Next week's show will probably be the end of Danganronpa. And the last Romer After show to do with Danganronpa. And then the Romer After show will continue on with the next Let's Play. It's been such a pleasure for you guys to want to hear my thoughts on this. And I cannot repay you enough for making me feel so good about myself. And this is what it feels like. Let's read some Patreon comments. Seabell asks, how do you feel about Netflix remaking Avatar: The Last Airbender, and will you watch it? I've followed the making of, or the behind the scenes of the Avatar remake very closely because it's one of my favorite shows of all time. Avatar: The Last Airbender is legit one of my favorite shows ever made. On my wall right now is an artwork someone did of Zuko and like Zuko and Mai together. It's really, really cute. Personally, I'll just say that I probably will watch it. Because I think that they've done the casting pretty well. Apart from one character, I think Sokka's casting is not very good at all. But the rest of the casting has been done so well. It doesn't replace the original TV show that I love so much. The original TV show was perfect. And if this is bad, I can literally just go onto my shelf, get the Blu-ray out for Avatar: The Last Airbender, or I go on Netflix, I guess, if I wanted to. But I have the Blu-ray, so there's no point. And watch that there. So yeah, I probably will watch it. I really like the casting apart from the casting of Sokka, you know? Abakoblin asks, who's your favorite Persona idiot best friend? I.e. Ryuji, Yosuke, and Junpei. People really sleep on Junpei in my opinion. 100% they do. I think Junpei, in terms of like, if you want to say who has the best story, Junpei has the best arc. Like by far has the best arc. If you want to talk about who has, you know, who has the most enthusiasm out of the dumb best friends, Ryuji. I think Ryuji's the most iconic now because of what he's done. I love Yosuke too. I think they're all great. But I'd say Junpei is my favorite. His whole story with Chidori, his journey from like, he's an idiot best friend who isn't your best friend for most of the game. You have to earn that friendship with him. And it really feels that way throughout the entire game. We're going to play Persona 3. Everyone's going to play Persona 3 Reload coming up, so I don't want to spoil anything because some people haven't played the game and it's going to be pretty much similar. But Junpei is fantastic, and his journey is amazing to follow. Yusuke has a very good arc as well, so does Ryuji. I think the issue is why I always say Junpei is probably the better arc, and most people, I think most people would probably not agree, but you could see it, is that to get Ryuji's full arc, you really have to like do his extra chats. Same with Yosuke. With Junpei, you don't get that opportunity in Fez. You have to just like, you know, you have to see it through the story, and I think it's really well done. Rainstorm Riddles. Do you plan on playing Danganronpa S? It's not a groundbreaking game, but it's a fun way to spend more time with all the characters. Is this a fan-made game, or is this like another Danganronpa game that's actually official? Because I just said in this video this might end my Danganronpa journey. I might be wrong. We'll play a lot of fan games. We'll play a lot of other games. We'll play a lot of other Danganronpa games. Danganronpa's not finished on the channel. We have plans to play fan games this year as well. So we're not finished. We will be playing more Danganronpa, and I'm very excited to do that. Jewpiker. What is your least liked or played genre? And if there is one, do you have a game from that genre you really enjoy regardless? That's such a good question. It's such a good question because I feel like it expresses what I love in this in video games, is finding, you know, the good even in the bad of what you don't like. The genres, like the games I don't really get into, are games where they don't have an ending. I love having a goal to move towards or something fun to move towards. For me personally, I've never really, you know, gelled really well with like games like Bayonetta and stuff like that, if that makes sense. There's games in the genre I like, but like for me, like I like my combat to like be very direct, and I like to think about every single move. That's why turn-based combat is so much fun to me. And I guess you could say in that genre of like that, I guess is there any games in that genre that, because I think it's not like I dislike that genre. I think it's actually a really cool game. But I'm trying to think, is there any game in that genre that I'm like, oh, I really freaking love this, however? I probably have, like, you know, played quite a few. Astral Chain is good. Astral Chain is a good game. I say you can put that in that genre, right? Definitely put in that genre. I've never been a big fan of beat-em-ups either. Beat-em-ups are not my style. I don't really like playing beat-em-ups. But really, Yakuza is like a modern-day beat-em-up. You know, it's the modern-day version of a beat-em-up. But I'm talking about classic beat-em-ups. I've never been a big fan of beat-em-ups. River City Girls has a great art style, if that makes any sense. That would probably be my other one. Neochill. What is your favorite video game OST? I feel like I can tell about a person sometimes by their old... Yeah, for sure. You can tell a lot about a person that way. Nier Replicant is the greatest OST I've ever heard in video games, which says a lot because there's a lot of great video game OSTs. I think that like a lot of times with video game music, a lot of people, you know, when they do their top 10s, it's obviously personal top 10s, which is fine. But I feel like sometimes a lot of composers are forgotten about because they, you know, it's like, oh, well, of course they make good music. You know what I mean? If you do things right, people won't be sure you did anything at all. Like the SMT the SMT composer who did most of the SMT stuff and also Persona music. It's like, what other, you put this guy at 7 in your list in top 10, what other person has a video game music library of creations like a creator like that? What other person could create a soundtrack like Nier Replicant or Nier Automata? It's crazy. Malcolm Collins says, what? Condé. They put it in this. Thank you, Malcolm. Condé. What are your thoughts on VR games? Do you have a VR headset or have you considered getting one? Never, being honest. I don't need to be in virtual reality. I think video games are so immersive already. I think for horror games to be really cool, I think that's probably the reason why like I would want to get one. Like when Resident Evil 7 was in VR, that's just awesome. That's such a good idea. Yeah, like the immersion's cool and all that stuff. I just never really got into the idea of it. For me, like it's like I'd have to win like a headset because personally, like spending the dough on a headset doesn't make much sense for someone like me when I'd probably use it for one game and then I'd never use it again. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense. I think that's probably where I'm at with that. Thank you guys so much for asking Patreon questions. They're all really, really good questions as usual. I'm actually always kind of amazed that like every single week I'm like, you know, I'm probably going to get one question where I don't want to answer. But so far, like even today, like every question was really good. Every question was like asking about my favorite Persona best friend. So good. Asking about Avatar Last Airbender, something I love. Danganronpa questions, genre questions, OST questions, and VR games. Like all these questions are really, really good. So thank you very much for this. And if you want to ask questions as well, you can go to the Patreon and you can ask questions there as well. And I will see you guys very, very soon in the next one. Next week is probably going to be a very big one. Hopefully, maybe, who knows. See you later, guys. This is the Romer After Show. Love ya.